Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon, broadcasting out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, Weird, California, with UBN Radio TV, Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 2 on my syndicated CNBC NBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, and FM 106.5, and syndicated everywhere that iHeartRadio is, because I want to splatter you with more hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. I want to bring you and highlight all that is good with the world, with life, and with you. And so all my topics and guests are that way. And yes, it is my birthday launch today. I am so grateful and happy that this day is here. It took me 9 months to write 8 Ways to Happiness from wherever you are, and it is available today. And if you message me on Dr. Marissa, if you're listening there, and tell me you just bought the book, there's Asian Oprah giveaways throughout this whole show, and I wanted to give a peace in and peace out to a number of people before I introduce my guest, to Ryan Long, who invited me to speak on the City Summit Mastermind panel last week. And we just got off of a Facebook Live outside the studio. So thank you to Jean McNaughton and Tracy Hazard for all of their support and advice. And of course, Ryan Long. And a peace in, peace out, excellent customer service shout out to Ron at Capital One and Eric at Morton's. And then thanking all of my friends who supported me through my nervous breakup in launching this little baby. And I was feeling not the best. I was in my 12% on Saturday or Sunday. I don't even remember the day, but my friends, I think there's a shot of all of my fabulous there that just really supported me, and I wanted to tell you I love you. You know who you are. All right, and did I have other pictures in that? I can't remember if I wrote them. But, oh, yes, Ricky Byers' mom, Mama Byers, who taught me how to personalize this thing called You. She's got my book there, and she's reading it now. To my big brother, fabulous Michael Bernard Beckwith, who wrote the foreword and who really saw this coming when I didn't see it coming. I just want to give him a shout out of love and blessings, and absolutely I couldn't have done this without him, and I'm so grateful for you. I love you very much. And Sister Jenna was at Agape too. She supported holding the space for me, and I'm appreciative of that. And I think that's Jean, who was, and Ryan at the City Summit. So I'm so grateful for all the support. And the one person who really, really, really went out of her way to help and support, and she never, there was never a what can you do for me. I'm just still amazed at how wonderful my guest today is, and I'll give you a little background on her. Penny Zenker is an international speaker, business strategy coach, and best-selling author, so I'm hoping it'll rub off on me today. She's one of America's leading experts in the psychology of productivity to eliminate distraction, perfectionism, and self-sabotage to maximize results in every area of your life. Penny's book, The Productivity Zone, was an instant Amazon bestseller, and her TEDx talk, The Energy of Thought, has gained attention around the world. Her engaging, inspiring, interactive talks teach people to think and act more strategically. Penny's been featured on NBC News, Forbes, Inc., ESPN, and Wharton Business Radio, among others. So without further ado, welcome to one of my best supports this week for Launch Week, Penny Zenker. And we did a Facebook Live at 10 this morning. I started at 7 and have gone straight through till now, and I'm grateful. I'm not complaining at all. But I was telling Tony, my sound engineer and boss of the radio station, that, that going up and then coming down and going up and coming down, I usually just do that once a week. It's been 8 times since 7 a.m. So I am. So if I say something I shouldn't, you'll know why. But welcome to the show, Penny. Glad to have you. You are hailing from the East Coast, where?
I am near Philadelphia.
The city of brotherly love.
That's right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for having me today. This is a special day because it's your launch day. So I feel extra privileged.
Yes. And I'm really glad. I can't think of a better person who gets me and has listened to me go, why didn't anybody tell me this? But it's really, truly an experience to have a book published, and I'm so grateful that it's happened. But honestly, it was a lot easier writing the book, which was a 9-month process, which this last month has been truly a growing experience for me. Yeah.
Well, it's like giving birth. You're giving birth. You wrote it in 9 months, right? And this is the hardest part is getting it out.
Yeah. And so there's my cue. I'm going to hold it up. So if you haven't already gone to 8waystohappiness.com and hit buy, then please do. And then message me or go on the live streaming right now to tell me that you have. And then you get to choose from some Asian Oprah giveaway gifts. And I'm just getting a message now from someone Dr. Emily Latron, and she's asking what time, because I've got them all organized in a row to try to hit the algorithm. Nice. But so Penny, your book is a bestseller, and it's called
The Productivity Zone: Stop the Tug of War with Time.
So what advice do you give to someone who has 6 book signings in the next 4 days and who wants to really not lose a moment of being there for it? Because I tell my clients all the time, you have a lifetime to evaluate this, but you only have now to experience it. So experience it.
So true. So true. And it's just stay purposeful with what you're doing. My top advice would be, what gets us off balance and gets us crazed is that we just kind of get caught up in the doing and we're not centered and purposeful about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And, if you take that deep breath before and after whatever activity you're doing and just center yourself to be clear on, what this is doing and why it's important to you, it shifts that energy. So you might be in that stressful energy for a moment, right? And there's positive stress, which is excitement. And then there's the stress that actually, deteriorates and takes away from your clarity.
Yes.
So whenever you need it, we have this beautiful thing where we just take a deep breath and get more purposeful again.
I hate it when I have to listen to the advice that I give other people. But true that, and that's a great reminder. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Oh, I'm I'm listening to myself. How do I see who's commenting without? Oh, I know. He's gonna take care of it. So how do you, I'm going to use the fact that you're a time management expert. How do you respond to people who say, I just don't have enough time? Usually perfectionists and recovering overachievers and
right.
control
Me
freaks.
too.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. My motto was just one more thing. I could fit one more thing in. And it, we teeter, perfectionism, if you think about it, is also obsession.
No.
Yeah, it's obsession. And obsession is what? It's stress, right? We're creating stress for ourselves. So it's funny, you have in your book, so we'll plug your book again, you have, the place where you say get to the 88% and turn around and look at what you've done. And then you've got that last 12%. I have something called the productivity curve. And when you look at that productivity curve, it looks like a bell curve, but it's not the statistical deviation. And it tells us that on one side, we have the obsession and the perfection. And on the other side, we have the apathy or the procrastination. Mm-hmm. And it's a vicious cycle, because when you're a perfectionist, at some point, you and the others around you can't live up to the standards that you've set, so they move to the other side and get apathetic, even yourself, right? I can't even live up to my own standards, so I'm not even going to do it.
Yeah. I call that the labyrinth of shiitake. Because you start at sinking thinking, and then you go to worst case scenario, and then you go to the effinator, and which is also perfectionism, procrastination, and then paralysis.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. And I've always wanted to be a procrastinator. I've just never got around to it.
But I'm bummed. But whenever we're, like you said, when we're in that obsessive place, mm-hmm. Then we need to jump back into the zone, into the productivity zone, or, in your case, into that 88%, take a step back and decommit. And like reevaluate. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because that's what people don't do, is they just get stuck in it. We just keep digging the ditch.
Right.
Versus, hey, let me stop for a second and see and look around and see what is really important. What are my priorities, and how, what's good enough mm-hmm. for me to move on.
Mm-hmm. But then, that part of me that's codependent kicks in and says, well, I can't disappoint this person, and I can't decommit to this. Like, I can't decommit to being a mom, right? Or I can't decommit to being, to doing this show or whatever it is. So what do you do when it doesn't look like you can decommit to anything?
Well, I mean, that's what we tell ourselves, right? And mm-hmm. and the truth is that there's somewhere in between. Nobody's saying decommit being a mom, right? Or not show up for your show. But you can also look at, what's going to be the right balance to keep you happy. It's okay to tell your family for one day or whatever, and agree that, I'm not going to be available tonight for dinner. I have a book launch and we're going to celebrate together the day after. But today I'm going to put my priorities here. Is that okay with you? Right? You can communicate mm-hmm. to people, and you can then shift your obligations sometimes.
Right.
Like I always say, people say, oh, it's a client, and if the client calls, I have to drop everything. Well, no, you don't. You can ask the client, could I get back to you on that tomorrow? Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, right, go back to your 88%. 80% of the time, the client says, sure, no problem. It's no rush. Mm-hmm. It's in our head.
Right.
That especially, I call it the entrepreneur's curse, is that we are cursed because everything is urgent. And now we live in a culture where we've heightened that mm-hmm. that sense of urgency, and somebody sends you a text and you've got to respond right away, or what's going to happen? They're going to think you don't love them.
Right.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
So we have to set some rules and boundaries for ourselves. And that's what I mean also about being purposeful.
Yeah.
Is we can get so easily carried away with the urgency and everything that there is that we want to do, that we have to set some rules and boundaries and be purposeful to say, okay, we also want to stay sane and we want to enjoy it.
Right.
And so what do I need to do or not do that I can, add joy to this, that I can also qualify certain things and say, I can decommit to this because that person will understand. And you can be honest and totally open in integrity and say, oh my God, I totally overscheduled myself. Mm-hmm. I am so sorry. Can we move this to another date?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when I have to the perfectionism disease, because you don't want to have to apologize, and you don't want to have to backtrack, and you don't want to have to say, I goofed.
Right.
And the reality is, we're not perfect. And
right. We're not
human.
perfect. And everybody knows that we're not perfect. So it's perfectly okay to be imperfectly perfect.
I keep telling myself. And it's so wonderful having someone else doing the preaching on the show for a change. If you've just tuned in and wondering who I'm talking to, that sounds awfully like a lot. Every time she says balance, I'm like, that's my line, which is perfect. But you're tuning into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. Out of the Sunset Gower Studios today, it's Tuesday, and this whole week is my book launch to 8 Ways to Happiness, and you can tune in at ubnradiotv.com/channel 1, or I am now streaming on Dr. Marissa Facebook page. You can give me this finger, and then tune in, and peace in, peace out to Eden Hart, who is listening right now. And if you are so inclined to go and pick this up at Amazon, if you go to 8waystohappiness.com, let me know that you have, and then you will get an Asian Oprah giveaway today. And my special guest today to celebrate this day is a best-selling author herself, Penny Zenker, whose book, Productivity, right? It's there you go. Thank you. The Productivity Zone. I can only keep track of one book title at a time. Stopping Your Tug of War with Time is here to help me and also to help you stop your war with time. And I think that's, that in and of itself, if we don't see it as the enemy, always, not having enough of it, it should help. Yes?
Yes. And actually, one of the things that I do in my workshops that, people really find eye-opening is I ask them to check in with their relationship with time. Mm-hmm. And, and I would advise everybody who's listening to pick, what are the 3 words, if you were to say time is, what are 3 words that come up for you that you would finish that sentence with?
Okay. Time is.
What is it?
So in my enlightened answer or in my real answer? In
your current moment. So okay. You're kind of in between.
Right now I am. Two. So I'll say it's limitless and boundless and not enough and going too fast, and I must be having fun because it's flying. How's that for a mixed up answer?
That's great. And that's usually what people get. I mean, if all sorts of words come out, and usually if we listen to the energy of the words, is that the majority of time it's fleeting, it's too fast, it's flying, right? Those things that you said, it's not enough. And unfortunately, what that represents is our relationship with time. And so what I encourage people to do, and I know you do this in your book, and I love it, is you help people get recognition of where they are, right? And what's not working. So if that's your relationship with time, what do you want it to be? What are the 3 words that would, empower you around how you show up for your time? Because I always say it's not time that we're managing, it's our energy, it's how we show up for our time. So what would your 3 words be that you want them to be?
Yeah. Well, time management to me has always been an oxymoron, because you don't manage time, it manages you. So that's just an aside. So starting right now, time is friendly.
Yeah.
Time is beautiful, and time is expansively creative. How's that?
There you go. That's great, right? Whatever they are for you, everybody's going to have different words that are going to help them to change their relationship with time in a way that's going to better support them. And so, put those 3 words up so that you're looking at them on a little sticky that reminds you on a regular basis what you want time to be for you.
Got it.
And we know what we focus on, then we attract that. We get more of what it is that we're putting out there.
Right, right. Right. Well, I have figured out that syndication allows me to be at least 2 places at the same time. So
Hey, that's productive. I like that. That's taking back time. I'm all about leverage strategies.
Right, right. So speaking of that, are there other leverage strategies or tools and tips, because you asked me that in this morning's live, that people can use to leverage time?
Well, it depends on what they're doing, right? Okay. So for instance, if you take somebody who's doing a podcast, right, or doing some type of TV program, like you said, you can stream across multiple platforms at one time. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, you can create leverage by stripping out the audio and making that something in itself. And then you can also transcribe it, mm-hmm. right? So it's looking at anything that you're doing. How can you
not reinvent the wheel?
How can you accomplish many things with the same effort, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one way to look at it, is you ask yourself that type of a question.
Right, right.
And then also, how can I systematize something, right? I mean, that's one of the challenges that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs and even, well-established companies that have been around for a long time is, they're busy recreating the wheel all the time. Mm-hmm. Like if we can use templates when we write certain response emails to people. I'm not saying don't personalize it, right, because it does need to be personalized, but you can start with a basis of a template, and that saves all the time in the world.
Right, right. Yeah, there's a school of thought now, because we used to say that multitasking is a good thing. And now with everybody on, this thing and always doing stuff that is
squirrel.
Multitasking. Squirrel, yeah. What's your take on that?
Well, I don't need to have a take, because there's been so many studies. Like, it is scientifically proven mm-hmm. that multitasking is, detrimental for your productivity.
Right.
I mean, I think that they said that it actually distracts you to the point that it's like missing a whole night's sleep.
Ooh.
And so, that puts it into relation, because if you ever missed a whole night's sleep, especially
right.
if you have kids,
right.
you understand that you're foggy, right? You're not really thinking clearly. And they've tested people who thought that they were among the 2% that can do it. Mm-hmm. And those people failed miserably.
Yeah.
And so we think we can do it. And what happens is that it releases dopamine for us, right? Mm-hmm. So it feels good. So we go, ooh, I'm getting 2 things done at once, so that must be productive. And so it's one of those mind tricks. Our mind tricks us all the time. Mm-hmm. And it releases a little dopamine and makes us feel that way. But the truth is just because it feels good doesn't mean that it's always the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that it's actually not, it's a fallacy that you're even multitasking, because you're serial tasking, right, just like with very little space in between, and there's lots of room for mistakes.
Right.
So that is definitely, I've heard that. So, what do you think about the expression time is money?
Well, it depends on what meaning somebody gives that. Like, time is valuable, if that's what that means, okay, then, I think that makes sense. I think it's important to value our time, especially when it comes to prioritization, right? If we're not valuing our time, not all tasks are created equal. So, we have $10 tasks, we have $100 tasks, and we have $1,000 tasks. Mm. And so, time is money in that context.
That's
right?
A great tool. Like, is this minute that I'm spending going to generate $10, $100, or $1,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I actually overlay that on the Eisenhower matrix, mm-hmm. Which is what Stephen Covey used to talk about the different quadrants of urgent versus importance. Mm-hmm. And so your quadrant that's important but not urgent, that usually gets left off, which mm-hmm. is really your strategy, right? That creates the leverage.
Right.
Those are your $1,000 tasks.
Right. Right.
And so I don't mind that time is money. I think it just gets people connected with that it's valuable. Mm-hmm. I think that when it becomes an obsession, right? Anything, in its excess, then can bring about other consequences that may not be in our benefit.
Right. Not in our best interest, for sure. Yeah. Cool. So do you ever catch yourself like not practicing what you teach?
Of course. I think that's why I teach it, like, it is funny because I think there's an expectation that people think, oh, you're the expert, you're always on time and everything works smoothly for you and whatever. I mean, I have kids too, and I've got a dog, and I've, and I'm juggling different things. And so I believe that partially why we do certain things is so that we can become better at them. And I do have my superpowers, but the funny thing is it's not time management, but it is perspective. Like, my superpower is being able to take a step back and to be able to reassess and assess and to look at things from a more objective perspective, and that is my gift in the area of productivity and time management, which enables me to be more productive, because I am constantly taking a look back, is this good enough? And am I focusing my efforts in the right places? And that being said, I have those 12% days where I feel like, the day was like death by 1,000 paper cuts, and I was at everybody else's whim and mercy and not on my own agenda. But I have only one person to blame, right?
Right.
And so hopefully I have fewer of those days, and I can share what I've learned and, and what I've been able to support other people with. And as it's easier to talk to other people and to help other people, right? We can all see other people's problems like no problem, right?
Yeah,
like glaring at us, but our own problems and our own challenges, well, that's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, totally. I absolutely agree with you. I think it's a Sufi saying that we teach what we need to learn, for sure. And and it's good news, and it's really irritating at the same time when somebody, tells me something that I teach. But I love what you said about the superpower. So I want to just take that for a second.
Sure.
Is that something that is in your book, like about finding your superpower?
No, it's actually not.
It should be. I love that. I love that.
It's actually something that I found since I've been talking, right? The more that we teach, the more that we learn.
Right.
And so that's actually something that I've recently learned, because I needed to do a presentation for a group, and they didn't quite want it to be on productivity, but and I don't know, it just was really clear to me that is my superpower, and that's what they needed. Is they needed to have perspective. There was a lot of change going on in the organization, and so it was a gift that I got from coming up with an agenda for them.
Perfect.
Was discovering that that's my gift.
That's great. Now, I think I've heard of it before. I think the Reklas talk about, from CEO Space, they talk about superpowers as well. And if everyone could identify one superpower, I think that not because we need something to expand our big heads with, but if I'm thinking that when I can acknowledge something that I do well, or a part of me that is valuable and unique, the less time I'm going to spend, and this is my biggest waster of time, is looking for approval from people around me. Am I doing okay? And that's a huge time waster. And most of the time you're going to the tractor for milk because they're not able to give you approval. They're not wired that way, but you're constantly going for that. So
yes,
great idea. And I'm getting the signal that it is time to thank the sponsors who make this show possible. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. This is Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah, and I'm super excited to bring you my newest book, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are.
Hey, IE, Dr. Marissa's book tour is coming to Redlands for the launch of her new book, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. Dr. Marissa is an award-winning media personality with a nationally syndicated radio show. Dr. Marissa, aka the Asian Oprah, was the 2017 Iconic Woman of the Year, as well as having one of the top 10 podcasts in health. Don't miss Dr. Marissa in person for this exclusive book signing Sunday, August 12th at Barnes & Noble in Redlands, only at Citrus Plaza, 27460 West Langonia Avenue in Redlands.
It's a guide for anyone who wants to stop suffering from past pain and future fear, because you deserve to be happy 88% of the time.
Dr. Marissa's book signing will take place Sunday, August 12th in Redlands at the Citrus Plaza inside Barnes & Noble. More info at 4balance.org. That's the number 4balance.org.
And we are back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon, broadcasting out of the Sunset Gower studios where Scandal and Murder, She Wrote are filmed, but there's no scandal here at Universal Broadcasting Network Radio TV on Tuesdays and then Thursdays at 7 and Saturdays at 2 on my syndicated CNBC, NBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And today it is the launch day, the birth date of 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. And it is all of me. You know, I actually kind of forgot that I laid it all out. Like everything bad that has ever happened to me is in that book, not because I'm blaming anyone or shaming anyone, but really as proof that you can take the shiitake of life, shovel it out, find the unique seed that is you, and then put it back as fertilizer and grow the unique, fabulous, loving, lovable, and loved you that is here to make a difference on the planet. And that's what pain in life is for. It's mandatory, but suffering is optional. And Penny Zenker is my guest today because, one, she's been absolutely fabulously supportive of this launch. And two, because she's a best-selling author and I want it to rub off on me. And three, just because she's very cool and definitely someone who, you know, we connected at CEO Space. We've kind of been in each other's circles. She was kind enough last year at Greg Reed's Secret Knocks that I'm sure you'll be there this year. He actually invited me to do a little thing off stage on happiness, so I'm grateful for that. But he has a tub of love that people put stuff in, and, you know, at the very end, you get a chance to win all, and like it's like $50, $60, $100,000 worth of stuff. So I made it to the final two, and I messed up on the throw into the tub because they picked a boy activity. I'm going to blame it on that. And I missed out. And so there was a diamond something in the tub, and I really wanted it. And Penny's team won. And she was so kind. She goes, you know, maybe we can get this for you. Maybe we can give this to you. But then somebody on her team said, no, I want that for myself. But it turned out that he found out about my desire, and he told his wife, and his wife said, give it to her. Isn't that sweet? So that endeared you to me forever. And then we had a Facebook Live this morning, and you wouldn't let me tell why it's 88% happy or 8 ways to happiness, because you wanted me to leave it for the show. So in case you don't know, I have a love affair with the number 8 for a reason. And I don't know whether I should take this call. It's from San Diego, but if you're listening to the show and you're trying to get in an Asian Oprah giveaway, just go to my Facebook, Dr. Marissa. So 8 is a lucky number in Mandarin. And I know you thought I was Swedish, but I'm actually Chinese. And 8 is a homonym for good fortune. So ba is 8 in Mandarin. Fa is good fortune. So 8 Ways to Happiness is a fortune full way to get to happiness from wherever you are. So out of loneliness, heartbreak, hatred, shame, all of those common places, loss that we get stuck in, perfectionism, control, fear. And then so that you can be 88% happy. So why 88? Well, if you're 100% happy, you're dead. So we don't want that. And 88, because it's double good fortune. And excuse me, for perfectionists, it's a tough stretch because I'm okay with 98%. Why is it 88%? Because we got to cut ourselves some slack. That perfectionistic, exhausting hamster wheel. And I don't know about you, perfectionists also don't just do one thing, right? They're the ones that volunteer. They're the ones that, mentor. They're the ones that create, and they've got 5 businesses on the side. And I'm so happy. My new tagline, somebody put on my Facebook, they said, it's Dr. Marissa, she's everywhere. And I'm like, isn't that great? And it's exhausting to keep that up, right? It's a curse of a new byline. So we're not happy if we are in that constant, even striving for 99%. That's why I say 88%. And you use 80-20, right? So that's also a common.
Yeah, I'm just using the Pareto principle, right? So that's the 80-20. But I love the 88. I would totally use that. I think that's brilliant, right? And it's ba, right?
Yeah,
so it's 88.
Very good. Ba. Yeah. Instead of actually the intonation you just used is poop.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that good fortune and poop are very, in a fine line.
It is a fine line. That's why Chinese
it's like incitement and fear, right? They're in a fine line. So good fortune and poop right along the same line.
That's why Mandarin is such a difficult language, because the intonation, ma is mother, ma is slow, ma is horse, ma is numb, ma is to scold. So that's like the same, MA, but you can call your mother a horse, or you can call good fortune poop in one, Baba is 88 and Baba is poop and Baba is dad, father. So
I'm not speaking any more Chinese, and I'm only going to stick my foot in my mouth.
Oh, in the horse's mouth.
Right.
Yeah. So, but that is why. So if you're ever wondering why I use so many 8s, that's exactly why, because it is good fortune. So you actually have an Asian Oprah giveaway for us today as well. So why don't you talk about that for a second?
Yeah. One of the things that I believe in as well as you do is we have to start with awareness and understanding what's holding us back. And distraction is one of those things that is, really the enemy of productivity. It's really killing our ability to not only stay focused, but to get where we want to go and to reach our goals. And so I want to give people more awareness in that. And I have a little bit of a distraction quiz that helps people to understand the 3 areas of distraction, and also what some of those things for them might be, and get them thinking and get them aware. And then they find out whether they're a zombie or whether they're a squirrel, what's their profile.
I can tell which one I'm going to be. Are cute guys on that list as a distraction? Or let's see, what else? Candy Crush?
Well, gaming and things like that, not specifically Candy Crush. For you, it's Candy Crush. For my son, it's Fortnite, right? And everybody's got their thing that they get caught up on.
And I'm glad we brought that up, because I do believe that it's in moderation and with balance, because I use Candy Crush literally as a motivation device. Because if there's something that I don't want to do, that I have to do, whether it's marketing or sales or something that I'm not thrilled about doing, I would love to just walk in and be the talent and not have to do everything else that has to do with promoting the show and me and brand and blah, blah, blah. But it's something that I have to do. So I make a deal with myself that if I, make the 20 connections or write the 20 emails or do whatever that is, then I get to play until I run out of the 5 lives or whatever it is. So I use it as a tool. Does that sound defensive?
No, that's, when you use it like that and it's an incentive, right?
Yeah.
Then that's great because you're learning you enjoy it. It helps you to relax. And so you're using it as a motivator to say, okay, when I finish this, I can do something that I want to do. For someone else, it might be, might be doing something else. And that's great too, right? Might be allowing them to work out or to spend time with their family or, watch their favorite TED Talk or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's a great Asian Oprah giveaway. And how do they get that? They go to...
I think you're going to post the link, but they can go to, I set up a bit.ly link. So if they go to bit.ly/distraction assessment.
I see it right there. I should have prepped that better. But I'm 88% today.
Well, they can get that there. And I'm sure, you'll post it up and be able to get that. And it's a really fun quiz. Because we like to have fun, but at the same time, we get some real awareness as to what's really going on. Because, let's look at it. The 88% of the time, who's distracting us?
Me.
Right?
Yeah.
If I look at all those things on those lists, whether it's physical distractions, whether it's mental distractions, or whether it's environmental distractions, and maybe there's another category that I haven't thought of yet.
Sexual distractions.
Most of those are things within our control.
Right.
But it's always like, I don't have the time. Like you said earlier, well, you really do. If you'd cut out your distractions, I guarantee you'd be at least 20% more productive. So let's shine a light on them and see where are they really, and let's take some ownership for them. Yeah. And then we can do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tony is putting that up for us right now, so you can take advantage of that, whether you're watching this live or later. And let's see, did we cover everything that we wanted from your end? Is there any other, your book is on Amazon, continues to be a great bestseller.
Yeah, we can get that. And maybe a point to make is you asked me earlier about my superpower being, perspective. And the funny thing is so in my book, I talk about the 10 fundamentals, the drivers of our productivity, which are really the drivers for success. Productivity is just a byproduct, right? When we're happy, we're productive. So, it's productivity is then a byproduct of that. But I realized that those 10 core drivers, those 10 fundamentals are for me taking a step back and seeing the big picture and being able to say, here's our psychology elements. Here's where we have strategic elements, and here's where we keep it sustainable. And by taking a big picture view and getting perspective, then we're able to really tweak all the areas that are going to impact our productivity or our success.
Yes.
And so it, in a way, my superpowers are revealed here in the book. It's just I didn't realize that they were connected.
Right. And it dovetails perfectly. And I don't know if you remember reading it in chapter 7 on perfectionism. It's called the 88-foot look, and getting 88,000 foot look at what's going on, so that you don't have to be, in the weeds or in the, oh my gosh, what am I doing? So taking that 88,000 foot look, it's not as bad as you think it is. Or
no, it's not. When planes are in turbulence, right? What do they do?
Yeah, they shake.
They go up. Well, they shake, and then they go, okay, but they go up. Right. They go up in altitude to go over, whatever's going on. Yeah. So, that's what we need to do when we get stuck as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it looks like we're out of time, and I have one last question that I always ask my guests. So what are you most grateful for, Penny?
Well, I'm going to use the cliche answer. I'm most grateful for my family and my children. Every day, there's something that we do or something that they say, and I'm just so grateful for watching them grow and being instrumental in helping them to get to their next level. So beautiful. I'm just very grateful for family, for friends, for people, for the human spirit.
And what are the names of your kids, and how many? And
Ethan and Sydney. They're 12 and 14.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Peace in and peace out to you.
Thank
Your
you.
mom's fabulous. And that's it for Penny Zenker on my show. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for the support.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All righty. And we're up to the end of the show where I invite you to step up to my balance bar and my Asian Oprah giveaways. So today's 21-day fast from complaining is still on. I'm still trying to run it in the midst of all of this launch, and we are on day 7. So the balance tip is, how high are you? So we're talking about energy, not that kind of high, but naturally high. Are you vibrating at the highest possible level? Because complaining and whining and moaning are low levels, and low levels of energy just make you feel sluggish and not so great. So I want you to stay high in gratitude and appreciation and hope and limitless possibilities and friendliness of time so that you can stay on that high flying disc, as Abraham Hicks will talk about, and you'll feel better. So that's the tip for today. And please, tonight, if you are anywhere in Long Beach area, come to my launch birthday party at the Ferns Garden Gift on 2nd Street in Belmont Shore at 7 p.m. And Fern is lovingly giving away chimes, and I'm giving away gifts for books there bought and I'm signing. So come to that. And then if you're in Denver, please, please, please meet me at Tattered Cover Bookstore in the Aspen Grove location at 7 p.m. And I'm so grateful that I got invited there. Usually they only invite rock stars, and I got invited there. So you have a chance to help me make it on to the Denver Post bestseller list. So if you can't be there, you can also call in to Tattered Covers and order it on Thursday. And then Friday, I fly back the actual day of my birthday to the Elisa Viejo Barnes & Noble bookstore in Southern California. Saturday at noon at the Barnes & Noble Marina Pacifica. Saturday at 6 at the Burbank Media City Center Barnes & Noble. Sunday the 12th at the Redlands Barnes & Noble at 4. And then I will be on my Big Brothers Talk radio show, not this week, but the following week, and then have a book signing at Agape the following week. So I'm going to have a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I'm so grateful for all your support. Don't forget to get your copy, 8waystohappiness.com. Thank you so much for your support and so much for all the kindness that you've offered me for all of these years. So next week, I'm actually going to have 2 CEO Space faculty friends, Aaron Saxton, who's a multi-Emmy nominated producer of The View and Barbara Walters, and best-selling author Elena Chapman, who actually had me on her podcast that came out yesterday called Self-Help on Steroids for her 30 minutes of inspiration. So I will let you find that on my page and have you tune in next week for another scintillating episode. My end of my launch week on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And I'm going to stay on and be on Debbie and Dell and Debbie's show, Body, Mind, Spirit, Soul. So please stay tuned. More Asian Oprah giveaways. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. That's world peace through inner peace. Love you all.